to read the data that is loaded by the loader function inside our home component, we need to use a hook. The hook name is useLoaderData from the React Router DOM library. Let's try to read the documentation. This hook, it is going to returns the data from the closest route to loader. Let me import this. I'll go to main.jsx. So the output from this products loader function can only be read inside the home component because the closest route for this loader function is home path and this index path. You can't read the data from this function inside other components like about, contact, login, and cart. That's why please make sure you are invoking the useLoaderData inside the home component itself. Here, with the help of useLoaderData, I'm going to catch the data returned by the backend REST API with the name products. So let me invoke useLoaderData function here. Now this function behind the scenes, it is going to return me the data that is being sent from here. So here we are trying to return response.data. So what data we're going to have inside the response? We are going to have list of products data. The same we are trying to catch here with the variable name products. The same variable name we are trying to feed to the products listings. If I save this and go to the browser, you will be able to see the products data is being loaded as previously. Let me click on this home and you will see the data inside the home button after few seconds, because inside the backend I'm trying to intentionally slow the response by 3 seconds. Maybe let's try to reduce this to 1 second and go to the browser. If I click on this home button, you will be able to see there is a 1 second delay in fetching the data. Until this fetching of the data is completed, the home component is not being rendered. I can also show you the demo one more time. Let me mention 3000 milliseconds here so that we can see the demo clearly. So if I go to the about and if I click on this home, the home component will not be rendered until I get a response from the backend after 3 seconds. So with that, the end user will still see the about page. After 3 seconds only, the actual rendering of the home component is going to start once the data is received from the backend REST API. If I click on this home, you will be able to see I'm still on the about page. After the 3 seconds, I am landed onto the home component. But here the end user will be confused because if he click on the home button, he's not getting any response and he may click on that home button multiple times. And with that, the loading of the data is going to happen multiple times. So we need to give some feedback to the end user that there is something is happening behind the scenes. So please wait for the output to appear. We have done very similar setup using useEffect as well. There is a state variable that we maintained with the name loading. When the backend REST API invocation is in the progress, based upon that loading value, we displayed a loading content on the UI page. The same can be also achieved when we are using loader functions as well. I'll show you how to handle that in the next lecture. But before that, let's try to understand more details about useLoaderData hook. As of now, I said based upon the definitions that we have defined here, when we use the useLoaderData inside the home component, it is going to return the data that is fetched from these products loader function. But there is an interesting point here. If you go to the home component, inside this home component, we are using other components like page heading, products listing. So any of the inner components of the home component, they can also use this useLoaderData to fetch the products information. For example, instead of using this inside the home component, I can do the same inside the product listings. So let me copy this and comment here. I'm also going to remove these products here. Now I'll go to product listings and I'll remove these destructuring as well. So with this, what is happening? My products listing is not expecting any products information from the home component. Instead, it is going to directly read the data using the useLoaderData. Let me import the useLoaderData function. Now the same products information will be used inside the business logic of these product listings component. If I save this and go to the browser, this time also you will be able to see that the products information is being displayed without any issues. This gives a confirmation that we can use this useLoaderData in any of the inner components of the home component. Let me revert these changes because I want to load the products inside the home component itself. I'll go to home component and try to revert the changes that we have commented previously. Let me save these changes and test the scenario one more time. I'll go to contact and click on this logo, and after 3 seconds, I will be able to see the product's information. Yes, this is working perfectly without any problem. From the loader function, in the scenarios of any runtime exceptions, we can throw those details to the React router library so that those details can be displayed to the end user with the help of error element that we have defined here. This component will be rendered by the React router library in the case of any error happening inside the application. Let me make those changes and show you the demo. Here inside this catch block, whenever an error is happening, I'm going to throw the object of response. So let me create new response object. So this response is available inside the JavaScript itself. To this response, as the first parameter, we can pass the content of the body, followed by inside the second parameter, we can send other response details like what is the status of the response. All such metadata details can be sent as the second parameter. So let me invoke this response. As the first parameter, I'll try to send the message content that I receive inside this error object. So whenever there is an error is happening while I'm using Axios library, there is a very good chance that the error details will be available inside a variable with the name message. That's what I'm trying to use to pass the body details to my response. In case if this error message is null, I want to send some default body content. This default body content will be failed to fetch products, please try again. So this is the very first parameter. So as part of the first parameter, we are trying to send the body of the response. As a second parameter, which is an optional parameter, we can send some metadata related information. Let me send a JSON object which is going to have details like status, status text. So all that kind of metadata information we can send. To this status, I'll try to send the value present inside the error.status. So Axios library, it is going to give me the overall status, like what is the HTTP status error code inside the status. The same I'm trying to pass to this status variable. In case if this error.status is null, I want to send 500 HTTP status code. So 500 represent internal server error. With this, let's try to understand what is happening. I'll try to mention some dummy URL here so that we'll get some error. Let me go to the browser. Inside the browser, you'll be able to see we received 404 error along with the request failed with status code 404. So these details we received from the Axios library because we're trying to invoke a REST API that is not available inside the backend. I can also show you this by debugging the code. Let me open the developer console, and here under the sources, I need to go to this source folder followed by components. Under the components, I need to open this home.jsx. I'll keep a breakpoint inside the catch block. Let me go back to about and click on this home. So the breakpoint stopped here. If you try to understand what do we have inside this error object, there is a message which is request failed with the status code 404. The same we are trying to send as a body inside the response. Next, under the same error, we have another variable with the name status. Using the same, we are trying to get the HTTP status code. The same we are trying to send as the metadata information under this information. So whatever we are sending with the help of this throw object, behind the scenes, the React router library, it is going to convert that information and make sure it is available to the error page in the form of this route error object. Because here we are using use route error. So whatever we are trying to send with the help of status, the same will be mapped to the status variable. And whatever data we're trying to send as the response body, it will map it to this data variable. That's why we're able to see that information inside the error page. Let me make one more change to confirm our discussion. So inside the home.jsx, here instead of status, I'll try to invoke some status 1 which does not exist inside the error. So this will be null. And with that, we are going to send the 500. Here also, I'll try to invoke message 1 And with that, this value will be sent inside the body. If I save this and go to the browser, this time you'll see 500 and fail to fetch products. Please try again. This confirms to us whatever we're trying to send inside the body of the response, it is being mapped to the data variable inside the route error. And similarly, whatever we are trying to send under the status, the same is mapped to the status under the route error. So let me go back to home.jsx, and here I'm going to revert these message1 and status1 to normal variable names. With this, we handle the error scenario as well inside the loader function. But inside the error page, we can do a better job. We're always assuming there will be some information inside the route error, but we should be prepared for some corner scenarios as well. That's why I'm going to write an if condition where I will check if the route error is not a null. If yes, then I'll try to populate couple of variables. So first, let me define the variable names as let error title, and to this I'll try to assign a default value, and similarly I will try to define one more variable with the name error message. To this error message also, I'm going to assign some default value. Let me populate some default values. So error detail will have a default value of whoop something went wrong, and error message will have a default value of an unexpected error occurred. Please try again later. So these default values I'll try to override in the scenarios where the root error is not an null object. So let me try to assign error title with the help of route error dot status. Similarly, I'm also going to populate error message with the help of route error dot data. So these variables now I'll try to use inside the JSX code. Here instead of route error dot status, I'll try to refer to the error title, and similarly towards the end, I'll try to refer to the error message. With these code changes, now if I try to test the scenario one more time, it is going to work very similarly. Let me go to about and come back again to the home. You can see we are seeing 404 and request failed with the status code 404. In case if some routing error details are missing, we are going to display these default values. With this, we handle some corner scenario as well. Let me go to home.jsx and correct this URL to products and save this code. Now inside my browser, I'll go to about and come back to home. After 3 seconds, I will be able to see some products information. I hope you're clear. As a next step, inside the next lecture, we can try to address the problem of not providing any feedback to the end user when the data is being rendered from the loader function. We should give some feedback to the end user that there is some data is being loaded, please wait. So that kind of feedback also we can provide with the help of router library. The same we'll explore in the next lecture.